Have you ever seen a grandmaster lose to a 1600? That's what you're about to see today. I asked the Discord and YouTube subscribers to send me their games so I can review the mistakes that they do. Mistakes that you do as well. Let's go with game number 1. Two 700 players. I am Ayush from the Discord server. He's playing Darcy Snow, a girl who's 759. And in this game, Ayush is gonna show that he's a total gentleman. He starts with d4. She responds with d6, keeping all the options open. He goes d4, she goes e5, striking in the center, attacking this pawn, asking a question. She's not scared actually of this, and a queen exchange, because it's true that with black, actually this endgame is not too bad. Ayush, in this Pirk defense, the Maruxi variation, decides to push in the center. She plays a pawn move. Just let me tell you something. In this game, Darcy decided, in the first 11 moves, she decided to play 10 pawn moves. This is the third one. It's not too bad. c6. You know, trying to ask a question to this center. He defends the center, which is correct. And now she plays this move, which is a mistake. Because, again, this is the fourth pawn move. She should have, you know, just play knight f6, bishop e7 is fine. You know, and then castle. And then start thinking about, you know, pawns in the aisle and stuff. For this, I think that you should watch this video that I did 2 days ago about the top 30 principles where I speak about this kind of moves. He responded by a4. Usually we respond, you know, to a move a5, a4. It's like a reaction to the opponent's move because we don't want him to keep pushing and we don't think. We see he plays a5, we play a4. She goes a4 and now f6. And f6 is an issue. As you can see, it's creating a lot of weak squares around this poor king. Right? And also, he's taking the square of this knight that cannot go on f6 anymore. He cannot go here anymore. She goes again another pawn move. And now, to be honest, the position, I think we can say this is already lost. Because you see this? This is a complex of white squares that are totally weak. And the best way to exploit this kind of thing is to play knight here. You know, to infiltrate here, or the queen comes on this square. And there is nothing that black can do to stop it. So this is what Ayush should have done. But Ayush is a gentleman. So he doesn't want this. He goes bishop e3. She goes c5. He goes, I mean, you guessed it, right? 700 players, they see a check, they do it. So he checks. She covers. This is the first piece that is moved on move number 8. And he goes castle. Again here. The best move was knight h4, and nothing can stop queen h5. Castle, and now she plays g5. So now she understands that this was the threat, and you cannot do it anymore. So what does Ayush do? He goes the other way, to come with the queen on h5. And then she goes g4, which is a bad move, as you can see here. The reason is, and Ayush saw that you can take the pawn. The bishop cannot take because the bishop here is totally pinned. So that's a great move. That's not a queen sacrifice. And she pushes. He gives a check. The king comes here. And now you're thinking, this is the moment that Ayush is going to strike. It's a little bit like you're on a date. And this girl, she really likes you. You like her and she really likes you. And she's waiting for you to make the first move, to give her a gentle kiss. But he never comes. You're stalling. And this is what's going to happen here. The best move in this situation was to open the center. What do you do when the king is in the center? If you don't know the principle, now you know. When the king is in the center, you open the center. But here, this is not what was played. And Ayush decided to play this move, exchanging pieces. You have an army. You developed more pieces than her, but now you're deciding to get rid of the army that you deployed. Right? So she's clearly lacking development here. With all these pieces at home, you shouldn't exchange the bishop. Never. What you should have done is, yeah, we said, open the center, and then you take, and then the rook infiltrates, you know, the enemy. That's what you have to do, okay? Next time. Instead, you exchange pieces. And now, again, the best move is f4. But you decided to play rook e1. You decided to play rook e1. The girl is telling you, I played 10 pawn moves out of 11. I'm waiting for you to make a move, and you're doing nothing because you're putting a rook. There is 3 obstacles here. Look at this. What is this rook doing here? Absolutely nothing. This rook was much better on this square to try and infiltrate after pushing this pawn, right? Way better. But you're saying, I don't want to make the first move. You're trying everything to actually not win the game. Or the girl is the same thing here. But you know, she offers a queen exchange. And again, when you have the initiative, you're not supposed to exchange, but you exchange the queen. But now let me tell you something. Now you're on an endgame. It's an endgame. But here, I have to give you props because you played from this move onwards. You play another 12, 13 moves. You played the first line of the engine until the end of the game. You played, if Magnus basically was playing this game, he would play the same moves. Let's just say it the way it should be. So you played perfectly the end game. So maybe you know that you're a monster, you're an end game monster. You've been watching Chesscape shorts, and you're amazing at this. Or I don't know. Basically here you went knight b5, which is amazing. You're targeting actually this little fork. So this is perfect. She plays this, she sees the fork. Now you bring the rook, which is good. She pushes. And you go knight h4, which is amazing. You have these 2 squares that are great. Gray squares. This is a backward pawn. So you want to be putting a knight here, which is the best actually to blockade actually this pawn. And also having a knight here targets straight away, this pawn. So this is what happened. And now there is no way that she can defend actually this pawn on d6. She goes rook h7. You take with a fork, basically. And you come back. So you target actually the pawn on c4. Best move. I have absolutely nothing to say. She pushes a pawn because she's desperate. And to be honest, the position is really bad already. So she's trying her best here. And now you go c3. You're thinking, okay, the king is here. So I'm going to be doing this and this, which is again perfect. And after she pushes this pawn, there is a cute checkmate that you found. After this is checkmate. It's pretty crazy. It's quite rare to find this kind of checkmate. But amazing game for a 754. I mean, this is amazing. I was teasing you with the date thing. But, I mean, apart from the fact that you didn't open basically like with f4 to open when the king is in the center to open the center. I mean, apart from this game is really not like a 700 level. Let me actually check. Yeah, okay. So you got here, let me show you. You got 86.7 review. So yeah, you didn't play like a 700. Actually, you played like a 1250 here, which, to be honest, I disagree with chess.com here. And I think this game is way better than 1250, but they take the accuracy and the rating, I mean, starting with your level. So what I mean by this is that if you had, let's say, 2000 ELO, maybe this game would be 2600, okay? So this is all relative when you look at this. I mean, you played very well, but you missed just, this move f4, exchanging in the center, and checkmating the king. But you're a gentleman. I get it. Game number 2, this is 1100 players, Arman versus Peter 3. I know Arman very well from the Discord server. This game is a good illustration of 2 1000 ELO players, one blunders, but ends up winning the game. Because the other guy actually doesn't know how to win. So he started with an Italian, and clearly Peter is saying, by playing this move, I do not want the fried liver. I do not want any of this, like this kind of moves that, I play knight f6, you go on g5, attacking actually these two, and I'm very scared of this opening. I know I have to play d5, take, knight a5, etc., but I do not want any of this. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to play a move like h6. So this knight can never come to g5. I get it. Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's not the best move, right? I mean, clearly the best response here is to go in the center straight away because you're losing a developing move here, right? So I'm going to be opening the center with d4. So what was played? He went with c3, which is a bit slow, Arman. I mean, you could go d4 straight away, knight f6 and d4, but this is a good idea. And after taking here, you have several options. I mean, pushing, I mean, you can play with d5. I just heard an amazing, I don't know if you guys hear this noise outside. There is like some sort of works, but this is like, I feel like there is an alien that just actually landed on Earth. Honestly, such a weird, strange noise that you never hear. Actually, okay, let me go back to the game. So in this, he took, and now I would castle because I'm thinking if he takes here, I take back with the knight, and now I have such a nice development with white. Okay. Instead of actually taking, because now he can take on e4. Maybe actually you are thinking you had a pin here, but actually after this move, he can defend and attack the bishop, so he wins a tempo. But now think about something. You can still castle here, because if he takes the bishop, you take. If he takes the bishop, you take the knight, right? So you can still castle, okay? Anyway, how did it go? This, check. All right, this is fine. And now you decided to actually take the knight here. You decided to take, which is a mistake. In this situation, again, you have your king in the center, and as you will see straight away, you will get punished for it, is that you cannot take this pawn, Arman. No way. You're pinned. You lose the queen. Actually, you don't even lose the queen, actually, here, because you had this move that you missed in the game, knight c5, right? You would lose a piece, most likely. I'm not even sure, actually, if you lose a piece here. Can you play f6? I'm not even sure. f6, yeah, you lose a piece. There is no check or removing the queen with check or something like this. So yeah, you would just castle, but that would have been better than losing the queen. So first of all, yeah, be careful to try and find actually this kind of moves, all right? Okay, after a blunder, because you weren't supposed to take on e4, right, in the first place. But okay, you decided to give the queen, now pin this knight on c6, and it's hard to believe, but in this position, white is going to win the game. Yeah, I don't know what to say. But you know, here, the moves are fine for black until now. He is threatening to actually fork the couple. Queen moves, bringing the rook. You know what happens when you are like a queen down in the game? You come back straight away to the present moment. You're like playing automatically, but then whenever you blunder, you come back. You're like conscious again. I don't know why, but you know, we lose the moment, right? You lose the moment, but then when you blunder, you start playing your best chess. Yeah, I'm sure it happens to you a lot because you're kind of like, it awakes you, you know, and then you're like, oh my God, I blundered. So now I have to play the best, but now you're in the present moment. Before you were playing the game, but with your hand, not with your brain, and you were like in the past or the future. You see what I mean, right? So queen h3, threatening checkmate. Bring the knight. Queen goes back. And the rook comes. Until now, black is playing, yeah, normal chess, right? b3, and now he started. From this moment, black is going to lose the plot. It's a little bit like, you know, when actually you win the lottery and you win like, I don't know, $200 million, but then you see people who actually end up broke. It's the same thing here. You're totally winning with black, but you actually don't know how to win because you don't have the principles how to end the games. So you end up broke. It's exactly the same thing. If you don't know how to manage money, you end up broke. It doesn't matter how much money you have, basically, right? So c6 doesn't serve any purpose here, right? Not much. Maybe a move, I would say here, just bringing the rook would make sense. Just think about it. You have one piece in the game that actually is not playing. You need to bring it. To basically, to make sure that you're using the material advantage to its full potential, just use your full army, and then at some point he just cannot defend. But now you're playing without a rook, so he doesn't feel the heat, Arman, right now. He doesn't feel it. So bring this rook d8. That's the first move to play here. That would have been much better. He comes with rook c3, for instance, and you take. If he comes and defends, so for instance, like rook d1, in this situation, open the position. Go with g5. This is fine. Also, you have this kind of moves. But make sure you weaken his king and bring the pieces that you have in play. Okay? All right, let's go back to the position. Here, he went c6. So this is passive. h3, Arman is really trying everything he can to survive this situation. Now he goes queen here, which is fine, attacking a pawn. But then the problem of this is that you need the rook to come one day and be able to take this, because otherwise you don't have any other piece. Once he defends this pawn, you don't have any other piece that can come and actually take it, right? So the queen is a bit, misplaced there. And then you're going to lose patience. This is what we do at 1000. If I can't win and I'm a queen up, a queen for a rook, I'm going to lose patience and I'm going to start giving up material that I wouldn't have given if I wasn't up material, basically. So here you go like this, you're still patient, and now you watch too many videos with that rook sacrifice, and you decide to sacrifice a rook for 2 pawns. And now your advantage is gone. So first of all, Arman played a bad move by playing this. Why? Because he creates a pin, right? You could use the pin to your advantage straight away by playing a simple move like this, because he cannot take because of this. So that's the first thing, right? So be careful in this situation. Let me just remove. I know you guys hate this kind of screen. So you decide to give the rook. And now that you gave the rook and you see that actually there is nothing, usually what we do at 1000 is that we give the game away. We're tilted, totally, and we see nothing. And this is what's going to happen. He moves the king, check, check. There you realize there is nothing. And you're not even, look at the time. The time is fine. And you go with check and lose the queen. You just gave, like this, the queen in one move. But the result is, you're thinking you blundered here. No, it's because of all the moves where nothing happened, because you didn't bring the army with the rook. You didn't push the right pawns. These pawns must have been pushed. Don't worry about your king, especially when he has 2 rooks like this. You're not going to get checkmated, right? But you had to create weaknesses. This is the thing that was missing. And also, usually you have to create weaknesses on both sides of the board to manage to win in this. And now the final game that you've been waiting for, a 1600 Rafi from the Discord is beating a grandmaster from Denmark, rated 2366. The game started with e4, c5, a Sicilian opening, knight f3, e6, d4, take, knight c6, which is the Taimanov variation. Nothing to say until now. Everything is normal, but he went bishop e3. Here in this situation, I wouldn't play this. I would play knight c3 instead. Let me explain why. There is a big difference. Let me show you. If you play bishop e3, now I can play knight f6. And if you play knight c3, now I can play bishop b4, which is better than what he played in the game. I think this move is better than actually playing the move that he played, which is queen c7. I tell you why. Because on bishop b4 here, if you take on c6 and he takes back, now you do not have much. After queen d4, you're attacking the bishop, but you're not attacking g7. Let me explain why. Let me go back 2 seconds, and you will understand the difference between playing this move or not. If you play here knight c3 instead, so you invert the 2 moves, and he goes bishop b4. Now you can take on c6. He gives you this option, and now you can play queen d4 with a double attack. That's the big difference. So he has to give up the bishop, most likely on c3. Okay? So that's the reason why you play the knight on c3 first in this variation. In the game, it didn't go like this. You went bishop e3. Knight f6, now knight c3. He's not worried anymore about putting the bishop here. He goes queen c7, bishop e2. You played perfectly. Honestly, 1668, your elo. Like, honestly, he plays a6 because he doesn't want to have like moves like this happen to him. You played bishop f3. I wouldn't play this move. The reason is you want to keep this option of pushing the pawn open when you need to, because he missed it. But here he should have played the move, which is knight here. Knight here was the move here, okay? And he's threatening to win basically the bishop pair. He's blocking actually your center with the knight here, but he didn't do this, which is fine. He played bishop b4, and now you castle. He should have again played knight e5 in this situation to block the center and also threaten to take your bishop, right? But not needed right now. So make sure that this bishop actually was better on e2, because you have these options where if the knight comes on this square, you can chase him, okay? But anyway, you castled, and now he took on d4. As you can see, this is a bad move. You take back because he's reducing the tensions, which is not good for him. You go like this, and he took on c3. You take back, but now you have something very important in chess, which is the bishop pair, and he doesn't. And he has a very weak square on d5, and also only this knight that is protecting actually this poor king. That's not great as a position. Queen d2 is a great move. Great move. You could have played also this move, bishop g5, asking a question to this one. You see, he doesn't have the dark squared bishop anymore. So you're going to bother him on the dark square, which you did perfectly, honestly. Queen d2, he goes b5, and you go bishop g5 now. Queen c6 to defend, actually to not have to, if you take, to take back with the pawn. That makes sense. Now you went rook e1. Great move, because he was also attacking actually this pawn on e4 that you came and defended. That's perfect. And he goes h6. You go back, and now he goes, now he goes bishop b7, yeah. So he puts an extra pressure on your pawn. You do not care. And now you're telling him, listen, my friend, you have a problem on d7. I'm threatening to take your knight, and then I'm going to grab on d7. This game is honestly like you played amazingly well here, you know? So you kind of force him to play moves like this. This is a big commitment from him to play this. And then you went back, and you're telling him, okay, you do not have this problem here, but now you have a problem on e5 to defend. And also I have another idea. As a 1600, you're thinking that you may have moves like this, and it's super weak, his king. Look at this. The issue is that the queen, like he's got 3 pieces out of 5 that are basically here. And this is the problem. This king is very lonely and he doesn't have any defense. And like grandmasters do, they bully you usually because he's thinking right now you're 1600. So what grandmasters do is they wait for you to make a mistake. They're not going to play their best game most of the time. And they're like, you know what? He's going to play something, some inaccuracy, and I'm just going to exploit it. I don't even need to think. And here he went like this, and he blundered g4. Take 2 seconds to try and find a move that Rafi found here. That is an amazing move. So he's attacking the bishop, right? I'm not even sure why he did this, because he's attacking the bishop. So worst case, even if I go with the bishop, what you did is that you weaken your king basically by pushing. So I don't see the point. But Rafi is stronger than this. And he found this amazing piece sacrifice, which is a brilliant move. Because if you take the bishop, now I take the pawn, and look what's happening. This knight cannot move. You know, if you go here, queen checkmate. So you cannot move the knight. If you cannot move the knight, it also means that on the next move, I'm going to take it. And if I take it on the next move, I'm going to checkmate. So here the grandmaster resigned. He resigned in this position because there is simply no move you can play, because next move is going to be bishop takes knight and queen g7 checkmate. Amazing game from Rafi. So yeah, proud of you on this one. I hope you like this game recap. Let me know if you want me to do more of this. Yeah, That's it. I'll see you on the next one.